The world of IEMs is absolutely loaded with some spectacular stuff, and this is another set that can be added to the list. But what I do like about this brand is that they're not doing what everybody else is doing. They have taken some risks with this, which I can appreciate. Thank you to the folk at Keep HiFi for making this review possible by sending me this demo unit. All thoughts and opinions are my own as always. So let's jump into the build and how this unboxing is. The EarAcoustics STA-K does have a nice looking box to it, but it is rather a simple unboxing. In it you will get the IEMs of course along with the cable, and you do get a very limited set of ear tips. You literally only get about 3 sets. I do wish that it came with a few more ear tips and different materials, so it would have given the user or the owner a chance to tip roll a bit and play around with different tonalities. But anyway, this is all it comes with, including the literature as well. Now, the folk at Keep HiFi have been kind enough to also send me another cable to test out with this set of IEMs. This is from KB Ear and it's called the P34 if I'm not mistaken. And what's really cool about it is it has a 3.5 termination, but it can also be swapped for a 4.4 mm as well. So it's pretty cool. So this does alter the sound a little bit, which I will talk about in the chapter about sound. But moving back to the IEMs, now these are very pretty looking. They do have this sort of reflector-ish looking. It's almost like a crystal look to the faceplate. It definitely does look very different. In fact, my wife saw me wearing these and said, I don't deserve to wear bling like this. And she does want to start wearing something that looks this pretty. Now, the rest of it does have this chrome-like finish, but it's not much of it. So it's not too bad in the sense where it will show fingerprint marks and grease marks, but because there's so little of it, it's not too bad. But if you are particular about this, this is something to keep in mind. On the inside of the IEM, it is see-through, so you can see the 2 drivers that are inside. It does come with 2 dynamic drivers, of course, and it's cool that you can see all the workings of it. These are the normal sort of silicone ear tips you'd get with most IEMs. I do wish that they had maybe a different material or something slightly softer, but this is what comes with it. Then when it comes to its comfort, if you notice this section here of the IEM, it does sort of have this protrusion. Now, only very recently, maybe over the last year, I've started seeing IEMs with this kind of design. And although it looks like it'll be uncomfortable, it is quite the opposite. I found these designs to sit more snug and definitely more securely and comfortably whenever I've worn these. In fact, I've tested a recent set of wireless earphones that have the similar design, and these are definitely very comfortable to wear. And then you will see a tiny little venting port over here. It looks like it's near the smaller driver. I don't think the other parts of the IEM do have any venting areas in particular. Maybe this section here on the outside of the faceplate. And then moving on to the cable. Well, the cable that is provided is definitely a very nicely finished one. It doesn't sort of grab my shirt or collar when I'm moving around with it, so it's not microphonic. And this does not come with a microphone and is terminated to a 0.78 mm connector where the IEMs are, and a 3.5 mm connector that will connect to your DAC or music player or whatever else. Now, you can also get this in a USB-C variant that does have the option of giving you a microphone. So that's something you keep in mind when you are shopping for this. These come with 2 dynamic drivers. One is a 10 mm beryllium coated diaphragm dynamic driver, and the other is a 6 mm PET dynamic driver. Now, these are very easy to drive with a low resistance of just 32 ohms and have a frequency response of 20 Hz all the way up to 20,000 Hz. Now, considering it's easy to drive, I wasn't pushing the volume up too high. Then again, I am using a Rose's Elsa RZ550. It's terrifically powerful, and I find myself cranking the volume up to about maybe 25% volume, and it's more than loud enough for me through my phone. I suppose you can go up to 30-35 with something like this and it'll be more lively, but my sweet spot was around 25%. Now, if you use a less powerful portable DAC amp, chances are you'll have to push it higher up. This will vary, of course. But then when it comes to its soundstage and imaging, well, I'd say its soundstage is very similar to a lot of other IEMs in a similar price range. I mean, it's usually within a bubble in your head with the illusion of some tones coming from a little further out, but it depends on the recording and mastered track that you're listening to. It has to be a good track, it has to be high res, it has to be, you know, all of those things. And then when you move on to the imaging, well, this is where it is not as specific as a lot of other IEMs that I've heard in this price range. They've definitely not gone for refinement in detail, or should I say It's not exactly the most analytical set of IEMs that I've heard. One would think you'd get that as a default, but I like that they've done this because there are a lot of IEMs that are pushing towards just being overly analytical, which can get fatiguing at times because there are some people who don't want to listen to, utmost detail all of the time. So I find this working in some cases with some kinds of music, but I will get to that. Anyway, moving on to the rest of it, when it comes to highs, mids and lows, I usually don't like referring to graphs, but I'll throw the graph up over here for you to check out because according to the graph, it looks like it's got, recessed mids and almost, flat bass response with elevated upper mids and highs. But at least to me, it didn't come off sounding like that. Its highs are definitely elevated, but it's missing something over there. Like the high highs, the echoes and reverbs, if you're listening to specifically the echo and reverb in, say, a cathedral, or, you just want to listen to that delay, it's not really there as much as a lot of other IEMs can carry. There's a lot of air that is not there. So, I mean, it's something that I do like to hear, especially when I'm listening to classical or operatic music. So that is something that I have missed for certain. However, this can change a little bit when it comes to using the other cable that is provided. It does sort of, the other cable, the P34, does seem to emphasize, the air a little bit more. So I did find myself preferring using that cable over this, especially when it came to the highs. When it comes to the mids, there is definitely a significant drop. So much so, it starts sounding like, I wouldn't even call it veiled. I'd say it sounds like someone's singing through a blanket because it edges towards the side of being muffled. In fact, it's very warm sounding here to the extent of maybe it sounds a little dark over there in some regions, and I think it's got a similar sound in the highs, maybe the lower highs merging into the mids. So it's not exactly very pleasant sounding when you're listening to a lot of newer recordings. So all the newer stuff that I use for testing that I'm used to, all the tracks that I like, it just sounded a little bit boring to a certain extent in the mid-range. The lower frequencies are pretty well emphasized. They are definitely very full. And definitely there's some amount of enthusiasm here, and it definitely sounds like it's pushing out more than what the graph did say. It's definitely very energetic there, so much so I think that maybe there's a little too much of bass where it's eating into the mid-range and detail as well. Now, I wouldn't call it tight in its overall response in the lower frequencies, but at the same time, I wouldn't say it sounds like it's like you're throwing a sausage down a hallway. It's sort of between the two when it comes to its overall response over there. It's definitely fun to listen to fuller bass. It's definitely not bloated, but I would have preferred a little more tightness. Now, the thing over here is it's not fair to judge these set of IEMs for everything, because I myself have a series of headphones that I sort of keep for different genres of music, and I think that's exactly what this IEM is. If you start throwing different recordings at this, I started pulling out, after I heard the way this sounded, it took me back to, when I used to listen to old cassettes. I threw on 90s stuff, 80s stuff, Bon Jovi, AC/DC, some old Bryan Adams, stuff from that era, the 90s, 80s, 70s, you go to that stuff. Because of the tuning, even though those recordings are, in some cases, terrifically sibilant, this sort of culls that tremendously. It doesn't cut through the ear. It's definitely trying to mellow that region out. And that kind of music, that era of music sounds perfect with these. It, in fact, sounds like it's definitely been tuned in such a way where it's catering to that specific genre of music. So if you know for a fact that you want to pair these IEMs with older music, specifically that era, I think these are actually a very good pairing. It definitely does sort of cull the aggressive sibilances from that era of music, and it makes it more musical. It's that much more fun to listen to, and I think this is for the person also who's not necessarily an audiophile. I myself know people who love music and they're not specifically looking for details and nuances. This is something that they'd love. This is something that they'd appreciate and like, because it is fun. It's definitely, it brings out a lot of the joy in music listening, minus the analytical side of it. So if you do want to buy these, this can be bought, of course, on the Keep HiFi website. I will leave the links down below for these products. And you can buy this for about $49.99. That's for the 3.5 mm cable with no mic. You also do get a Type-C variant that goes for about $1 more, which is not too bad. Now, speaking about that cable, in fact, I want to mention a little more about the cable. It definitely does help with the brightness. It brings in a little more life in the upper region. The mid-range does also get a little more detail and more lively. I'm talking about specifically when I pair it with the 4.4 mm balanced, and the lower frequencies do get a little bit tighter. So I'd say this cable is actually superb quality. The overall build is good. Even the, for that matter, when you swap the 3.5 and 4.4, it's got a little lock, a little screw lock that you can use. So it's beautifully made, and it actually adds a lot more in terms of sound and detail with these specific IMs. So I would recommend this cable as well. Now this is the Keebe P34, and if you do want to buy it, this goes for about $29.99. Now this is terminated to the 0.78 at the other end, and you can swap between the 3.5 and 4.4. So even if you have other IMs with the 0.78 mm termination, I think this makes a pretty solid sort of pairing with those, and again it adds a little more life, especially through the balanced output. So anyway, that's my comparison on the EarAcoustics STA-K, and I do hope that this review has given you a better understanding for these IMs, and I do hope that I've helped you make some sort of purchase decision. If you would like to help support the channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to, but of course, thank you for tuning in for some sound advice.